Music and Booze with Mo is produced and distributed by EatsDrinksTV, a service of the Center for Culinary Culture, home of the Cocktail Collection, and First Reel Entertainment, and is available wherever fine podcasts can be heard. The Center for Culinary Culture, telling the story of food and drink, one taste at a time. Welcome to Music and Booze with Mo. I'm Mo Herms, and I've worked in the music industry most of my life, so have met some pretty amazing musicians over the years. I also love a good cocktail, and I've encountered some really interesting bartenders as well. It seems that there's a lot of crossover, so when I can, I like to talk to musicians and bartenders about music and booze. Join us at the bar, won't you? Music and Booze with Mo is brought to you by The Mermaid, a cozy neighborhood bar with an aquatic flair in the Little Tokyo area of downtown LA. Open 7 days a week, featuring tropical cocktails and snacks, The Mermaid also has a daily happy hour from 5 to 8 p.m. Follow The Mermaid on Instagram at TheMermaidLA to hear about upcoming events and check them out at themermaidla.com. Head to 428 East 2nd Street, Los Angeles for a drink. Welcome to Mo's Tropical Summer. As any regular listener knows, every summer I get to talk with people from all over the world, actually, who work or own bars with a bit of a tropical bent to them, and this summer is no exception. So sit back and relax, mix yourself a drink that has lots of fruit juices, rums, and maybe even an umbrella, and enjoy tropical summer.
When you're through swimming, I'll dry your back. Come and relax, girl, in my little beach shack. What you say now? Dum-de-dum-de-dum, yeah, yeah, yeah. There'll be nothing you lack. It's a pleasure to welcome you to my little beach shack.
We're going across the world again, this time to Indonesia. I got to talk with Tommy Milburn, who fell in love with tiki when he was just a kid on vacation in Hawaii. He went there with his family and they got to see Don Ho, and he was hooked. He became a bartender to support his other creative endeavors, but he always checked in on those tropical bars wherever he was. So we're going to talk about his musical theater past, his acting adulthood in Los Angeles, which gave him ample opportunity to check out tiki bars, and then why and when he and his wife decided to do the real thing and move to an island, Indonesia, to open up a traditional tiki bar. And they even, this is one of my favorite things, they even grow aloe so that they can provide it to sunburned patrons who are coming up for a drink to cool off from a lovely day at the beach. Now that's hospitality. So stay tuned, sit back, and let's pretend like we're on a beach in Indonesia with Tommy at his bar, Tiki Grove.
All right. Well, my name is Tommy Milburn. I'm originally from Vancouver in Canada, but now currently living in Indonesia on a small island called Gili Trawangan. It's about a 2-hour boat ride from Bali. And I have a bar and restaurant here called Tiki Grove. We are a genuine tiki bar, the first in Indonesia.
Nice.
And possibly the only genuine one that's still around. There are a couple places that are, halfway there. They put a Mai Tai on their menu and they put a carving in one corner and they call themselves a tiki bar. But yeah, we've been on the island for about 11 years now, and the restaurant's almost 8 years old.
Wow. So I got to ask, Vancouver to Indonesia, that's a nice kind of path to take. How did, it's very different, a little warmer, a little nicer water to
Yeah,
play around in. How did that come about?
yeah, it was something I always wanted to do. I'm not gonna lie, when I was a kid, I saw cocktail and went, yeah, I wanna bartend and I wanna be on a beach somewhere. And in the mid '90s, I started seriously considering it. I started looking at a lot of different places in the Caribbean where it might be possible to do. And then that sort of went away and got put on a back burner for years. Uh, in about 2008, my wife now, girlfriend then, no, 2009, sorry, we went to just south of Playa del Carmen in Mexico. And just wandering around one day, we found a little town called Acamal. And it was a beautiful little town. You could see what was about to happen there. There wasn't much going on yet,
Yeah.
but it was too stunning. It was too close to Acamal and or to Playa del Carmen and Tulum, like right
Mhm.
in between. Um, and yeah, we looked at prices and things there, and they seemed really affordable. Not for us at that time, but way more affordable than anything we could possibly do in Vancouver.
Mhm.
And we just basically said we need to find a place like that again when we can afford to do something.
Mhm.
And I'm happy to say that Akamal did. In fact, I was right. it,
You're
it
very
it
right.
became
Yeah.
it became much bigger than it was.
Hmm.
And when we were there, I think there were two dive shops and like four hotels. There was not much going on.
Hmm.
But yeah, we decided we would start looking seriously and considered a few different countries. And then we got engaged in 2010, got married in 2011, and we planned our honeymoon 1 month in Bali. And neither of us had ever been to Asia, but we had 1 month. So we decided we would be actively looking while we were here to see what kind of opportunities what could be a reality. And we had about 3 days on this little island that we're on, and just opportunity hit while we were here.
Wow.
Um, our first night on the island, I had a handshake deal to do business, and we were back about a year and a half later, investing in someone else's business and buying land. Um, and about a year after that, we were living here. So we
Wow.
moved here in 2014. But yeah, we once we bought our little piece of land, we weren't quite sure what we were going to do. And then we realized for the first time in our lives, we own seven fully grown palm trees. And we're like, well, we're we're not going to sell the land now.
So you built a bar and restaurant on it, basically.
Yeah, we did. We did. We came to the island in 2014, decided to just live here for 6 months just to make sure this is where we wanted to be. It's very easy to go anywhere for a few weeks,
Yeah.
enjoy it, and go, oh, that's absolute heaven.
Mhm.
But you might get there and find out that you don't like anybody that lives there, or worse, they don't like you. Um, and yeah, so we did our first 6 months. We became dive masters, so we'd have something to do.
Cool.
We were already silent partners in a boutique and a cafe, so that gave us a bit of a passive income.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, after the first few months, getting to know everybody on the island, we were like, yeah, this is home.
And
This
they
is
were
home for
really
at least the next
accepting of
decade.
you. And they were just like,
Uh,
okay, these crazy Canadians, they're here. They fit in with us. This is great.
it was amazing, honestly. Like everybody was so kind when we got here. It's there's a pretty tight expat community,
Hmm.
and then the locals as well. Just everyone was super helpful. It's a tiny island. It's not easy to get things,
Hmm.
so it can be overwhelming when the simplest things. You need to put a new sink into your kitchen, especially back then it was not easy to get.
Yeah.
You're talking about hours away coming by car, boat, and then horse cart.
Hmm.
Um, yeah,
Yeah,
but like
you're
people
probably one
people
of
really
the
helped.
you're probably one of the few bars where you're inventory gets delivered to you via horse or something.
It does. It literally does. Um, it's yeah, I mean, there's horse carts going by constantly. It's the main form of transportation around
So
here.
how was that
Um,
shift for you, shifting from, because you mentioned earlier to me that you did work in like TV and film and all of this. Was that in
yeah,
Vancouver where you did a lot of that work?
Vancouver, Los
Mm.
Angeles,
Yeah.
Winnipeg. I grew up just outside of Winnipeg in a very small
Hmm.
town, and that's sort of where I started. And I was doing a lot of the theater there,
Yeah.
and then I moved to LA for a little while, and then back to Winnipeg, and then back then to Vancouver by
Yeah.
the late '90s,
And it's all very
and then
different pace than,
it really is.
island, literal island life. You're going from the hustle and bustle of the entertainment industry to island life.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
how was that adjustment? You said the people were nice, you had some stuff to do, but did you feel like we have to get things done or did you adapt?
It's yeah, because I've also been in restaurants for a long time, and
Yeah.
especially in Vancouver, it can be very cutthroat. So there is always that I got to get stuff done. Um, and that's a lot harder out here than it is back in North America.
Because island time.
Um, it's island time, and there's you can't really show frustration. Whereas at home, I could swear at a supplier on the phone, and that might actually make them move quicker. Whereas here, if I do it, I could just lose that supplier. So I don't mind the hustle bustle of the city. In fact, I enjoy it, but I also enjoy island life.
Mhm.
In the city, I just always, work all year to get 2 weeks to go to a beach somewhere.
Yeah.
Um, we decided we'd do that instead, and cities could be our vacation if we wanted.
Yeah, right.
Um,
That's
and
an
we do get
interesting
back to
way.
California fairly regularly.
Well, did you actually bartend? Because you said you were looking into
Yeah.
bartending and you've had time in hospitality. So, what's your past in that world? When did you get started there?
So, yeah, I started in a kitchen when I was about 15 years old.
Mm.
Again, grew up in a small town. There wasn't much to do other than get in
Yeah.
trouble. And I pretty quickly wanted to get a job, so I had my own money.
Yeah. I
And
was going to say you need your beer money.
I need my beer money.
Yeah.
Exactly. Um, yeah, I think I was dishwashing when I was 15, and quickly moved into the kitchen and spent about 2 years working my way through the kitchen. Started off on salads and appetizers, and then line
That's
cook
hard
and
work.
broiler, and
That's
it
really
really
hard work.
is.
Hmm.
It really is. But I loved it. Um, at that point, my brain was like, "You should be a chef." Um, I'm so glad I didn't go that way. um,
All the
I've got
cocaine.
that. Well, bartending's not much better.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
You still get to
I
be
can take
creative.
bathroom breaks way easier. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, where I grew up, drinking age was 18 years old,
Mhm.
and because I'd already been at the restaurant for a few years, um, I don't think anyone was really paying attention to my age, and we had a service bar in the back. So when
Mm.
the servers were when I was done with all my stuff on the cold side, usually the entrees were coming out for the servers, and the servers were making their own drinks because of the service bar. So I had said, "Why don't you let me make your drinks? This is when I'm not busy." So I started bartending back there, and
Wow.
the owner, who had known me for a couple of years, never thought to ask how old I was because I was only 17.
So close. So
Uh,
close.
and I ended up pulling a couple of bar shifts in the actual bar. There was a pub downstairs, and then when I came in drunk on my 18th birthday, uh, and the owner asked, how old are you today? And I went 18.
And
It
he's like,
was
don't tell
he
anybody.
wasn't as yeah, he wasn't as amused as I thought he would be. Um, but that's sort of how I started bartending.
That's awesome.
And then yeah, over the next few years, between going to university, uh, theater, moving to Los Angeles for a little while,
Yeah.
moving back and forth a lot. Always I was either behind a bar or in a kitchen
Oof.
during that time.
So you just stayed in
Um,
hospitality. It was always kind of back there.
yeah, yeah. I mean, when I moved to LA, one of the first things I heard was the joke. What do you do? I'm an actor. Oh, great. Can I see a menu?
Yeah.
And that was definitely part of my life. So,
For sure. I
um,
know. I always joke in LA and New York are two of those cities where people have two jobs. They have the one that they're doing to pay the bills, and then the one that they need to be doing to pay the bills, you know?
yeah, yeah. And it's hard. It's
Hmm.
in music, in uh, film and television,
Hmm.
entertainment.
Yeah.
The money's not always there.
No.
The jobs can come and go.
And you can get the
Uh,
jobs and then not get much money from it, you know?
well, that's the thing. Even if you did get a good paycheck, you might not work for another 6 months, though.
Yeah. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
the restaurant jobs were always,
Consistent.
uh, yeah, and easy enough to take time off of.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because when you did get a part in a TV show and it's only one line, or it's a guest star, they're telling you the day before quite often.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and you need to have that free time. And saying no does not help you in that industry. Like,
Mhm.
to go, yeah, I'm sorry, I can't be on Dark Angel. I got a brunch shift on the weekend. Um, is a good way to get your agent to drop you.
So well, obviously you had some success there because you were able to buy this bar or actually buy this land and then build this bar. So what made you decide it's going to be a tiki bar? Just because you're in Indonesia and you had the seven palm trees there, or what was
Yeah,
it?
I mean, it was the first thing we noticed when we came to this island was a complete lack of tropical bars.
Hmm.
Everyone was trying to do something, I don't know, from their own country, I guess. There's a lot of European and UK expats here.
Hmm.
And uh, for us, it was sort of a no-brainer. Tiki bar is something I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
I
And
was
I
I
was going to say what fueled your passion for tiki bars?
so yeah, 5 years old. My mother and father take us to Hawaii,
Mm.
and we went to see Don Ho.
Oh,
And
cool.
to me, Don Ho was one of the most famous people in the world because my mother listened to his records at home all the time. So I just figured this guy must just be, and I'd seen him on the Brady Bunch. So he's he's
It's got to be huge.
he's got to be massive. I didn't know that the rest of the world was unaware of who Don Ho was, but yeah, I can't remember. We were staying at the Outrigger Hotel, and I can't remember exactly where. I want to say the Polynesian Palace, but I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, that's
But
the Royal Hawaiian, I think. The pink one,
is
right?
it?
It's all pink.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Again, I was five. There are a lot of things about it that I remember very
I mean, I was
clearly,
just
and
there
there's
a couple
stuff
of
about
years ago. I should remember where the pink one is the Royal Hawaiian,
it.
the pink palace, they call it. But yes.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I
No.
got to meet him afterwards. He signed his autograph on a
Yeah. How
napkin.
excited was your mom to meet him afterwards?
Oh, completely, completely. Yeah. I
That's so
mean,
cool.
I'm sure it was her idea to wait around and meet the man afterwards. So, yeah, but we were drinking out of tiki mugs. I'm sure my sister had a Shirley Temple and I had a Roy Rogers,
Yeah.
but they were in tiki mugs, and I was fascinated by it, absolutely fascinated. And those mugs came home with us, and they always sat down in the bar in the basement of the house.
Hmm.
And when I was a little kid pretending to be a bartender, those were my favorite mugs.
Aw,
And
that's so
yeah, it
cute.
just I found a picture about a year ago in a box. I had no idea it existed, of me standing on the balcony of our room at the Outrigger Hotel, 5 years old, ukulele lay around my neck. Um, yeah, I was at five
Destined.
years old.
You're
I was
born for it.
indoctrinated into this.
Now you run into the boys from the shack by the sea. Don't fail them when your ship sails out to sea. be waiting for just a little fee down by the shack by the sea. Everybody now, one. Down by the shack by the sea.
So then as an adult, what were you finding? How were you satiating that tiki need?
Yeah, I would always, whatever city we ended up in, I'd always want to find out if there was a tiki bar and check it out, see what it was like. It was just, for me, it was just a little hobby.
Hmm.
Um, at this point, too, I've been in the bar industry for quite a while.
Yeah.
Uh, I've I've done sort of every aspect of it. Um, so I loved going into tiki bars and seeing what was going on, and especially late '90s, 2000s, there wasn't much going on. Everything was sort of, most places seemed to be just going downhill.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and
The dark ages, as they call it.
yeah, and I was always trying to slip tiki cocktails onto menus, and I always had owners going, "No, no, 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 you can't do that. You can't do that. That's cheesy. You don't want to do tiki drinks."
Hmm.
And I was always the one going, "No, no, 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 no. They're not the ones you had.
Yeah.
It's not the Mai Tai. It's not the Mai Tai that you had 10 years ago. These are the real recipes. These are craft cocktails."
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, didn't have much of a chance to do that. We got out here, and as we started talking about menu and cocktails, that was my chance to start doing tiki cocktails. We're on a tropical island. People want tropical drinks, and most drink menus out here are incredibly boring. They're all the same. Um, Anybody who's listening to this on the island, you can take Long Island iced teas off your drink menu. They don't need to be there. People know they exist. They will ask for them if they want them. Um,
Ugh. Yeah.
yep.
No.
Uh, that was a bit of a shock to us when we got to the island, just seeing everybody's drink menu. I was like, that's like 1995 nightclub that I
Mhm.
worked in drink menu. Like,
Like
you got to
Cosmos and
change things.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And the dreaded mojito on every menu. Um,
Well, if made the
but
wrong way, it's a dreaded mojito. If you do it the right way, it's nice and refreshing.
it's dreaded for the bartender.
Yes. Understood.
I think they're a lovely drink. I hate pulling out my muddler.
Yep.
Um,
Just think of that guy
but
in
yeah, as we
Cuba. He's got a line up. If you go to the bar in Cuba,
yeah,
he's got a line like 20 of them up and do all that.
nice.
Oy, oy. So you got to
But
do
yeah,
it. You had to
we
open your
got to
own bar
do
to
it.
do it.
Yeah, as we started designing the bar, we wanted to go with what fit around here, which was tropical grass roof. And what we found really quickly while we were talking about possibly doing a tiki bar is that most of the tiki art that you're seeing throughout the world right now that you can buy online, it's all made in Bali.
Oh.
Um,
You're like,
yeah,
let's just head over to that island over there.
yeah. So, I mean, we spend a lot of time on Bali anyways, and we go straight to the workshop where this stuff is made that you find all over Amazon. That's, whenever I'm on Instagram going through tiki places, I'm always seeing this stuff that I'm like, I know where that's made. I know the people who make it, and we're getting it uh, at cost because we're buying direct from them.
Yeah. Oh, that's
So
incredible.
things that are $100 US are costing me $4 or $5 US here.
That's wild.
Um, and it's usually costing me a little more to get it to the island than it does to
To
actually buy
buy
it.
it.
So yeah, once we went over there and found all these people doing tiki carvings, and we found all the Japanese glass floats, and
Mm.
just access to all of that was so easy. We just right away went, well, that's it. We're going whole hog into this. We're doing a
Awesome.
proper tiki bar.
Well, how about the
Yeah,
drinks? How do you're on an island and I know getting food and liquor and all of this to you could be a challenge. I'm not sure how that works out for you.
it can be. It can be. Yeah. Every day there's a phone call. Oh, we don't have this. We don't have that. Or I had the supplier bugging me for about a month to carry these two new rums that they had, and I finally capitulated and went, okay, send me a couple of bottles. I want to see how they work with my cocktails.
Mhm.
And right away we decided, hey, these are good rums. This can replace some of the ones that we've been using.
Okay.
And immediately they couldn't supply it. First day I said I want to buy a box of both. They were like, oh,
Yeah,
sorry, I
sorry.
only have one bottle of each. And I'm like, I can't.
That's not how it works.
Yeah. So we,
So,
but go ahead.
oh, I was just keep going because I was just going to ask you like how you've come up with your menu. How do you work around the challenges? Sometimes, those kind of challenges lead to more creativity, but
Yeah.
just curious as to how it works out for you to keep a bar consistent, on an island.
We keep a very small menu.
Mhm.
Um, our food menu probably only has 13, 14 items on it
That's not bad at all.
with a specialization on tacos. So about six of those things are tacos. Because you can't have a tiki bar without
As
tacos.
a Southern California girl, I am terrified of your tacos. I'm like, what does that even mean? As someone who like went to high school or went to Tijuana on Saturday nights, I'm like, I do not know. But I'm willing
We
to
do
go
good
one day
tacos.
and
We
try it.
honestly are probably our favorite customers are people from Mexico.
Oh, wow.
When they come in, the first thing I go is because a lot of people because we get a lot of European clientele, people just see tacos and they go, "Oh, you're a Mexican restaurant,"
Yeah.
and they see the tiki masks and they mistake them for something that's
Yeah.
Mexican.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that there's signs saying aloha everywhere and that there's no Spanish music being played and that only one taco actually says Mexican. There's other Jamaican and Cajun
Yeah, yeah.
and that I've got one tequila cocktail on my whole menu. Like people still think it's Mexican. Um,
Education, tiki education. You're here for it,
I, I,
Tommy.
I the amount of times I've taken the Smuggler's Cove book and put it down on people's tables and just went, "Hey, have a look at this little reading material for you while you're eating."
That's awesome.
Um,
But you
and
were
then
saying
our drink menu is it's bigger than I think we've got about 14 cocktails on the drink menu.
pretty standard.
Um, yeah, and we've got some really traditional ones like the Mai Tai, Zombie, Painkiller, Privateer, which has been hugely
Yeah.
popular.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, and then I've got a couple of custom ones, my own
Excellent.
inventions
You have to. It's
that are
your
both.
bar.
We've got one called the Shark Bait Nusaha. I made it specifically for Nusa Kanya rum. They're a boutique rum out of Indonesia.
Oh, that's
It,
awesome.
very, very good rum. And we were one of their exclusive sellers in the early days.
Mhm.
They were hand picking places to sell it, and we got it when we opened. So for 1 year, we had exclusivity with it. And they asked me to make a cocktail and try to work their name into it somehow. And making the cocktail was easier than coming up with the name for sure. Because I couldn't figure out how to come up with Nusa Kanya, how to put that into a drink. And
Yeah.
I think I had just watched Finding Nemo, and there's this scene where they're initiating them into the tank,
Yeah.
and they're wearing tiki masks, and there's a
Yeah.
volcano, and they say your name is no longer Nemo, it is now Shark Bait, and everyone goes, "Hoo-ha!" So
Oh my God, that's
we
great.
we named it the Shark Bait Nusaha.
That's nice.
And it comes in a shark mug with the Tiki Grove name on it, and it's
Oh,
shaped like a shark.
cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's our event cocktail. So
Aw.
when it gets brought to the table, the server will yell out shark bait, and the rest of the staff goes noosaha.
That is so
And then there's a
proper tiki bar. So proper tiki bar to have just a bit of
giant
theater.
gong at the end for
Oh,
an exclamation mark.
perfect. Perfect. Oh my God, that's great. Yeah, I mean, that's, when you're in a fun tiki bar when they've got that bit of theater, with some of the
We've
track.
only got the one. We don't do it for any other drink. It can get annoying
One's
at
enough.
times.
One's enough.
It's thankfully it's become our most popular cocktail. People love the mug, they love the cocktail. It's fresh. it's just a nice tropical cocktail,
Well,
and
that's
it's
awesome.
just
And
like every other tiki cocktail. It's
you get to support the
yeah,
locals too, which is really nice. Really nice.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Well, so you were
So
saying you were bartending when you were a little too young to be bartending, and I think you told me
yes,
that was also when you were playing piano and singing in bands and stuff.
yes, yes.
So this is like stories of a not so misspent youth, really.
Yeah, I guess so. I was on a first name basis with the town police for sure, but um,
Small town.
yeah, yeah, I never quite fit in there. I was in trouble with everybody else. Yeah, I played piano. I did musical theater. I wasn't good at hockey. Um,
When did you start playing
yeah,
piano?
from a very early age. Like I
Yeah.
was probably playing by 5.
Really? So that was a
Um,
parents thing, or were you just compelled to?
it was,
It was, yeah.
it
It always seems
was.
to be parents at
Yeah,
that age. But since you fell in love with
my
tiki around the age of
mother.
5.
Yeah, there was always music on in my home.
Aw,
Um, and yeah, mom wanted us to play piano and sing, so I was always in choirs and doing musicals. Um, yeah, it was. I do love that little town. It was amazing.
yeah.
It took me getting a lot older to really appreciate how awesome it was.
Hmm.
Because the minute I turned 18, I was gone.
Yep.
You know, I left as fast as I could. Um,
When you left,
and
did you
now it's
keep on singing and playing piano, or was that all gone as soon as you went away?
piano was done in high school. I
Mhm.
mom was a real tyrant about it. So it was never fun for me. I
Yeah.
shouldn't say never. I shouldn't say never, but
It
the
was a little more
practicing part,
obligatory, right?
it,
Yeah.
yeah. There
Yeah.
was there was nothing fun about the practicing, and you got to practice.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, but when I'd go over to a friend's place and they played piano and we'd start goofing off and playing whatever, the Police or Billy Joel or
Yeah.
whatever we could figure out and start singing along, and that's when it became fun. But my mother always said when you get to grade 8 in Royal Conservatory, you can quit then, and I skipped a grade
Uh,
just to get to my exam. I just figured I could probably blow out the next exam really fast if I put my mind to it. And I ended up doing my exam for that, I don't know, a month after my last exam,
mhm.
and sort of graduated from grade 8 and went, okay, I'm out.
Piano is done.
I do regret that. I wish there was more joy in it for me while I was doing it. Because that's just a skill that I don't really have anymore. And I understand the basics and I can get my right hand working, but I can't put it together with the left very well.
Well, if you find a little keyboard, there's all kinds of little electronic keyboards that now people have because
Yeah.
it's way cheaper, easier to deal with than lugging a giant piece of furniture around. And, people
Hmm.
just set it up in their house in a corner, play it when they have a moment,
I
you know.
I always look at keyboards whenever we go to Lombok, which is the
Yeah.
closer big island. I'll
Yeah.
always look at keyboards and sit there fantasizing. And then my wife, Catherine, will go, "Are you really going to play it that much?" And I'm always like, "Well, yeah, well, no,
I
probably
know.
not."
The voice of reason. I completely understand that too. It's just kind of like, but maybe if it was there, I'd be inspired. It's like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
But what about the band
But
stuff? What were you, because you were still
yeah,
in a band after that.
in high school, I was in the obligatory high school band. It
Yeah.
didn't really do much. I had
But it
dragged a
was
friend
fun,
along.
right?
It was a lot of fun. I was working
Yeah.
with some really talented musicians, but I dragged a friend along who refused to tune his guitar for some reason. And all the other guys I was working with were looking at me like, "Who is
What
this
is this
guy?"
guy?
Yeah, it was like ruining everything we were trying to do. So it was very short lived. I didn't want to lose the friend,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to lose the other friends either. I still talk to the guys that were awesome. The guy who wouldn't tune his guitar, I don't talk to anymore.
That's
But yeah,
hilarious.
when I went to university, I started actually booking. professional theater at that point,
Mhm.
and a lot of it was musical theater.
Wow. What was
Um,
I love musicals. I always have. I was
yeah,
brought up on them. My mom was a folkloric ballerina, so we had that in the house. There was definitely that kind of
yeah,
creative artistic bent. But what do you remember some roles that were especially fun for you? Because I mean, I'm a total nerd about that stuff. I'm all rock
yeah,
and roll. I was like 90s radio DJ playing the indie rock and everything, but I
yeah.
love the musical theater. So
I honestly, I could probably still sing half of the songs to Joseph in his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
amazing.
Um, I haven't heard it in a long time.
No.
And I found it on Spotify a few months ago, and I was like, "Oh my God, I still remember the words to some of this stuff."
It's a muscle memory thing.
Um,
Stuff like that is a
it
total
is,
muscle memory thing. I can put on a record that I used to listen to a ton, like a shit ton when I was like 12 or something, and maybe I haven't listened to it in
yeah,
20 years, and boom, it's all right there. And I'm like, I
yeah.
cannot even remember the name of the person I met yesterday afternoon.
No, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I think that stuff is deeply seated.
Hmm.
And every time I learn something new right now, something old gets knocked out the other side.
Yeah, I
But
that's what I figure happens too.
but
We're trying to make space for everything.
yeah. But I think some of that other stuff is like, old fat that you're trying to lose. It's like, nah, it's been there too long. It's sticking.
Yeah.
You will always know Joseph's lines. Uh,
That's awesome.
and I did a show in, of all places, Saskatchewan.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. But it was a professional show. It was an absolute blast to work on, and I was 19 or 20.
Yeah.
Um, and it was called the Volstead Blues, and it was about the local history. It was right by the North Dakota border,
Oh,
and Al
cool.
Capone used to have a hotel in this town that we were in, and he had a hotel in the town on the other side of the border, and there were tunnels running in between.
Nice.
And the Bronfman brothers, who famously own Seagram's,
Seagrams, yeah.
uh, their family, they were the rum runners back then.
That's right.
Um, so there's lots of stories about bodies in gravel pits and all this rum running going on, and the people that I worked with on the play are absolutely brilliant. Just some of the greatest musicians I've ever met. But we almost got sued by Seagrams,
Oh, really? Oh, that sounds like it must
because
have been
of
amazing.
we had there were too many references. So this play actually ran every year for I think 20 years.
Wow.
Um,
And
it
it was
was a big
essentially
draw
about
for that area.
that whole
Yeah,
illegal. Oh, that sounds amazing. How cool.
yeah. It was
Was it just that the Seagrams were like, people are going to know this is about us? Is
we
that?
specifically mentioned the Bronfman brothers
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, the Bronxans.
because it was just well-known local
Yeah.
history there,
Yeah.
and we got a cease and desist from the Bronfman family, Seagrams. I can't
Wow.
remember exactly.
Wow.
It was one of the producers coming to us and going, "Okay, so you're gonna have to rewrite parts of the script." There's no references to these guys, and one of the lawyers actually showed up for one of the shows.
Seriously. Wow.
Yes,
Wow. I mean, honestly, they should just embrace that. So it's kind of like rebellious at this point. That whole period of time is, yeah, it was
yeah.
scary and gross, but it's also kind of romanticized. I mean, we wouldn't have
It
Scorsese films without it.
No, exactly. I think they just didn't want them being associated with murder. Like I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was probably something along the lines of the Bronfmans left someone in a gravel pit. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
Hey, if I go to a dive bar, I still am a 7 and 7 person, so I
oh
still live
goodness,
through
yeah,
it.
absolutely. But yeah, that was probably some of my favorite stuff. And then I
That's
I moved to
awesome.
Los Angeles shortly thereafter, and uh, quickly realized that theater, and especially musical theater, does not translate when the camera's 2 inches from your face. Um, so I had that basically beaten out of me over a few months,
Aw.
being told, bring it down, bring it down.
Well, now that you are running a bar or have your own bar,
Yeah,
restaurant, all this, you still get to get the music out there, right? I'm assuming you probably
yeah.
are the playlist person over
Uh,
there. and the mood master
Absolutely.
at the spot. I
Hmm.
mean, you co-own this spot with your wife, right? Is it the two of you, or is it?
Yes,
Yeah,
it's just the two of us.
it's the
Yeah.
two of you. So, does she do that as well? Do you guys work on that together, or is she like
I'll
go to
always,
town?
yeah, it's mostly me, but nothing goes on the playlist without me playing it for her first. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
usually me like running into the room going, "Oh, honey, 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 you got to hear this. It's going on the playlist." Uh,
That's awesome. So, what kind of music are you playing for everybody there?
so we got two main playlists. My daytime one's a little bit more modern,
Hmm.
but still very quirky. You might hear some mainstream stuff that you'll recognize, but a lot of it is covers, um, quirky covers
Hmm.
of songs you already know.
Yeah.
Whether it's bossa nova, Rolling Stones,
Okay.
or
You're
Scary
trying to keep it
Pockets.
in a tropical mood, but with some modern stuff in there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then I always throw in a few that I just like
Yeah.
that might not be part of it at all, that I know nobody's heard unless they're from Canada or uh,
That's awesome.
and then usually we open at 3 o'clock in the afternoon,
Mhm.
because it is a beach town. Everyone's down at the beach or they're
Yeah, I
sitting
was
by
gonna
their pool.
say by then they should be like kind of leave. They've gotten their sunburn on.
Yeah, and that is a lot of our business. I do happy hour from 3 to 5 and
Yeah.
have big banners outside. And when people are walking by, yeah, with their sunburn, um,
Come in and
and we
cool them
grow
off.
aloe on the property.
Oh,
We grow aloe on the
hey!
property, so we'll always offer it to people. We'll cut off a piece, throw it in the freezer, and give it to them when they're leaving, so they can
They can
cool down.
cool
But
off. Oh my God, that's amazing. That's
yeah,
kind of a bonus.
it's
I don't know that
it's the little things.
I've not heard of a bar offer that before. It's quite a unique bit of hospitality.
But yeah, after about 6 o'clock, we switch the playlist. I call it Cool Rummings, and it's a mix of like post-war jazz,
Ooh,
lots of big band stuff,
fun.
uh, lots of tropical stuff, a little bit of soul and R&B from the '60s. But I'm trying to pick music that was popular at the height of tiki bars.
That's so
Um,
cool.
and it's really, we like to say that the music does a lot of the heavy lifting for us. We're a very well reviewed place. People love the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And when we changed to that playlist, it was post pandemic. When we changed to that playlist for night times, it just lifted the mood. It was already a happy place, and
Yeah.
you can always tell when you look around the room if people are bopping their heads, you're doing it right.
Hmm. Hmm.
And now we've got people that will literally get up and ballroom dance or swing dance in the
Oh,
place,
that's amazing.
after a few mai tais. But
With a little liquid encouragement.
yeah,
For you're the lover I have waited for.
You're the mate that fate had me created for, and every time your lips meet mine,
Baby, down and down I go, round and round I go, in a spin, loving the spin I'm in, under the old black magic called love.
ooh, in a spin, loving the spin I'm in, under the old black magic called love.
In a spin, loving the spin I'm in, under the old black magic called love.
and we're a chill bar. When we get busy, we'll have a lineup at the door. I do have room for more tables. We don't really want more tables.
Hmm.
We're giving everyone elbow room in here. They've got space. They can relax. We've got a small kitchen as well. Too many more tables, and the kitchen will just get overloaded.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, the nighttime music. We had a couple come in the other night. They were on the road behind us. They were on their way back to their resort at like 8 o'clock at night, and they heard the music, and the guy
Oh,
was a musician. Um, and they turned around and came around trying to find the front of this restaurant to come in just because they'd heard the music.
that's so cool.
So
That's great. That's
yeah,
so great.
we tried the Exotica thing for a little while. Um, and I love it. I love walking
Yeah.
into a tiki bar and hearing Martin Denny and
Hmm.
guys like that. but because we are an open air restaurant, we are in the Coconut Grove. We are 300 meters from the beach. You know, there are horse carts going by. We we didn't need to sell that part
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
It's not escapism here. You are
You are
here.
here. Yeah.
We don't have any windows to paint black so that you can't see outside.
Oh,
And what
it
happened
sounds
with the
like
Exotica
paradise.
was
Oh, I mean, I know
what
it is.
happened. It's not so bad. We garnish our cocktails with flowers that we pick off of our trees on the property. Um,
Incredible. So when you're playing
it's
Exotic, it was probably a little too sleepy.
It really was. It was just boring. Like nobody
Mhm.
was really enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
Um, it just didn't fit. This island does have a bit of a reputation as a party island. It's a little overblown. It's not that big of a party place. Um, but the the people that do want to pregame, they know that we've got the strongest cocktails on the island. Um, they're gonna come here.
Yeah.
We like to make sure that everybody leaves here up here, like energy wise.
Ah, that's awesome.
Um,
Amazing.
and we've actually got a closing playlist that we had to make that is just put you to sleep boring.
I was gonna
Uh,
say you gotta bring everybody down at the end of the night, right?
People wouldn't leave. They wouldn't leave. They'd be like, yeah, it was,
Yeah, that's a
we,
terrible
we,
problem to have. I'm so sorry.
we, we have to be closed at 10:30. We are in the middle of the island, so we can't make noise past 10:30. So we have to be closed by then. And that means my staff is on 8 hours by 10:30 as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say because
So
you
if
open at 3-ish, so
Yeah,
wow.
and I don't like turning off the music and turning on the lights before people actually have to be out. I
Mhm.
don't like making people feel not welcome, but
Yeah.
I don't mind making them feel very sleepy. So uh, it goes from Don Ho playing Down by the Shack by the Sea to Don Ho doing Tiny Bubbles. And you can see everybody's shoulders start to droop after the first 5 minutes and heads getting lower, and
Well, that actually
it
leads
keeps us
me.
from having to ask people to leave.
Oh God, for sure. Having to do the like, you can't go, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here, do that stuff.
Yeah,
That leads me
yeah,
to a question that I always ask. You took me right to it. If you are having some downtime, some chill time, I mean, since you're in the bar every day and all this,
yeah,
what are you sitting with? What are you sipping on? What are you listening to in your own time? Or unless you're sitting there doing it at the bar, if that's where you choose to
yeah.
have your downtime.
Uh, a lot of the music I'm listening to is I'm trying to find new things to put on the playlist, stuff that I haven't heard or stuff that I've forgotten about, but
Mm.
stuff that really fits the place. Um, Spotify has absolutely ruined me recently because there's just too much. There's too much.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
overwhelming.
but I do have my own music collection. When we left Canada, I put all my CDs on my hard drive.
Yep.
So when people always ask me for the name of the playlist, and I'm like, I can't. I don't. It's not on Spotify. It's on my iTunes. And they're like, I have Apple Music, and I'm like, no, I'm really old. iTunes is not
It's
Apple Music.
yeah. Is it an
Literally
old iPod with a
MP3s.
wheel?
Yeah. Oh, I wish I missed that thing. Um, yeah. My sipper go to is a nice bourbon.
Really?
Um, yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm in my restaurant having a drink, I'm gonna have our Mai Tai.
Mhm.
I love our Mai Tai. It is the classic recipe
Nice.
with a nice little touch that one of the bartenders at Lono, I think on Sunset or on Hollywood.
Oh yeah, it was on Hollywood. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. I knew
yeah.
those guys. I knew those guys. I wonder which
Oh yeah,
bartender it was that gave you this little tip.
it was a she.
A she.
She
Okay.
took the dollar bill. We signed the dollar bill. She put it on the ceiling when she found out we had a tiki bar, and then we all went to the back and had some deadhead monkey head rum
Hmm.
together.
Hmm.
Um, it's always nice when we go to a lot of tiki bars now when we come to California,
Yeah.
especially
There's so
when you
many.
tell people that you own a tiki bar, you're in that family right away.
Yep. Yep.
All of a sudden, everyone's giving each other swag and cocktails, and this is from Kevin Murphy at Tonga
Yep.
Hut in Palm
Hmm.
Springs. Um,
I am a drooling bastard, so
oh, awesome. But
yep,
yeah, in the
I'm with
restaurant,
you.
I'll drink our mai. In the restaurant, I'll drink our mai tai. Um,
Excellent.
at home,
At home, a little
uh,
bourbon.
yeah, I've still got a little bit of a bottle of Woodford Reserve that I'm still nursing.
And what are you
Um,
listening to?
if I'm going back to my old stuff and I want to relax, um, I find Sean Mullins super relaxing. Big fan of Sean Mullins.
Nice.
Um, I know if anybody does remember him, they remember Rockabye, but
Uh-huh.
he's got this whole body of work since then. That's bluesy and southern rock, and yeah, and he's got a pretty soothing voice. Um, and I got to pull out my REM albums every once in a while and just listen from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Uh, I have found lately, especially if I'm like trying to come down, I've been really enjoying Lana Del Rey.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's very dreamy.
The California Dream Pop thing
Yep.
has always, for some reason, stuck in my head. I didn't know what it was called or that it was had anything to do with California,
Yeah.
but when I listened to it, it always reminded me of. So
I know it's
then
weird
I
how
found out that
it's like the night blooming jasmine kind of sound,
yes,
right?
yes,
We're in that period right now, right now. So I
oh
absolutely know what you mean. It's like twilight, you can smell the jasmine on the air. It's busy,
yeah,
but it's dreamy still. I totally get it. Mhm.
oh. We burn incense all over the road outside of our restaurant and
Mhm.
throughout the restaurant. It's just an extra thing. People are walk. Asia can be a very aromatic place and not
Yes.
always great, depending on where you are. Um, and in Bali, part of their prayer offerings is incense.
Mhm.
So almost the minute you get off the boat, when you get to Bali, you start smelling incense everywhere you go,
Mm.
and it's just a nice, sense memory thing.
Ah, sounds
So I burn it
wonderful.
all up and down the road outside of our restaurant. When people walk up and they're reading our menu, this nice smell hits them. It's not food, but it's a pleasant smell,
Hmm.
and their brain might not necessarily register it, uh, not consciously, but it does make them go, oh, this place seems nice.
Yeah.
and and so we go through a lot of incense, and some is really good, some is not that potent. And the other day, one of my staff was lighting up the incense to put all around, and I literally went, why am I being reminded of the Hollywood Hills right now?
Yeah.
Why am I being reminded of that? And then I looked over and I saw the staff lighting it, and I went, what scent is that? And they're like, it's jasmine. And I was like,
Hmm.
I had this memory of being
Oh.
in a convertible and driving up Queens Road.
Right? Or it's being on a motorcycle or something. I had this motorcycle
Yeah,
boyfriend, and that was always riding that bike in the summers was
yeah,
so great because you could smell everything. So nice. So
yeah.
nice. All right.
I'm
So
glad you
Sean
brought
Mullins,
that up.
bourbon,
Sean
night blooming
Mullins.
jasmine. And that is
Yeah,
that is perfect. Well, since this will be a podcast that people who maybe they're planning a trip, how do they find you? Once they listen to this podcast, what's the Instagram? What's the website? What's the whatever? So they can track you
yeah.
down.
The
I mean,
name of the
Indonesia
restaurant's
only
Tiki
has
Grove.
like Tiki Grove. Indonesia only has like what, 2,000 islands? So,
It's yeah. It's closer to 17, but
okay.
thousand.
Oh, wait, 17,000 islands?
17,000 islands.
Yeah,
Only
I
about
know
half
it's a
of them
lot.
inhabited.
Yeah, I was like, I know there's
Yeah,
a ton of tiny little islands. So you're gonna have to get real specific. It's Tiki
yeah.
Grove, and you're on
Tiki
the
Grove.
island.
We're on a little island called Gili Trawangan. If
Gili
you ever go to
Trawangan.
Bali, you're gonna hear about it. Um, we're probably the second biggest tourist destination in Indonesia,
Okay.
and we're only about 5 miles around on this island.
Wow.
Um, but there's three little islands that they're called the Gili Islands. We're on the biggest one. It's called Trawangan.
Hmm.
And no matter where you go in Bali, someone's going to be selling you boat tickets to go to the
Yeah.
Gili Islands. Um, so if you're in Bali, it's only a couple hours away.
Is it by
When
boat?
you get to, it's by boat. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You can't get here anyway except for by boat. You could fly to Lombok, you're still going to take a boat for anywhere from 40 minutes to 10 to 40 minutes to get
That's
over here,
awesome.
depending on what boat you take.
Hmm.
But the boats from Bali, they're big tourist boats. They seat
Hmm.
200 people. When
Yeah.
we hit high season, there's going to be 4,000, 5,000 people a day coming to the island.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Now, you're not kidding when you
Yeah.
say you've got lines out there because, waiting
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. It's,
Woo.
yeah, there's about 175 restaurants on the island and
Wow.
about 5,000, 4,000 rooms on the island, all in all.
Wow. And one tiki
So
bar.
and one tiki bar, and we're not even on the beach. We're actually set back from the beach, and people are always just shocked. They're always like, "Why are you so busy here?" I hope because people like it.
Well, thank you
But
so
yeah,
much. Yeah.
just quickly say we are Tiki Grove on Instagram. We're Tiki Grove on Facebook.
Yes.
You can get to us through there. We're on TripAdvisor. We're on Google.
You're on all the things.
Easy to find. If you Google tiki bars, I don't know what's going to come up because uh, just weird stuff comes up. But yeah, we are
The
currently,
Instagram is the best. Tiki Grove at Instagram, I think, would probably be the
yeah,
way people find things these days.
it is. It
Yeah.
is. And we're well reviewed. I do urge people to go online and read the reviews if they're on the fence about coming here. Just have a look at what other people are saying because thankfully people really enjoy coming here.
Yay. Congratulations. It's like a dream
Thank you.
realized. That's very impressive.
Yeah.
It's not easy. And you guys like up and left your home and everything to do this and just started a whole new life. And it's really inspiring to hear. So,
Thank you.
and seeing you in your tiki regalia, which is just your everyday wear, like anyone doesn't see this shirt unbuttoned to the navel, like tiki
There's a
medallion hanging
button
from his.
missing.
Oh, uh-huh. Yeah, right. I grew up by the beach. I know how it works. It's fine. No judgment.
It
I'm
is hot in
jealous.
here right now. I
I'm
haven't turned
truly
on my
jealous.
fan so that you can actually hear me. So I got these big fans over top of the bar.
Well, I'll let you go so you can cool off a little bit. But
Yay,
actually,
no
don't
worries.
go. But thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
There you go. It was almost like being on the island, wasn't it? Kinda, sort of. Not really. I wish we were there. If you want to find it on Instagram, again, it's Tiki_Grove. And that is Tiki Grove over in Indonesia. Live vicariously through it. And thanks so much to Tommy for the chat. I owe him some mail. I'm going to be doing like a pen pally thing. We're going to trade stuff. And maybe that'll mean I'll have a place to crash or get a good recommendation anyway whenever I make my way to Indonesia. And thanks so much for tuning in. I'm so grateful we got to talk to Tommy today and grateful for you for listening. Make sure that you check out his playlist that he made for us over on the Music and Booze with Mo Spotify profile. It's all the stuff that makes him happy while he's getting ready to invite all of you into his bar. Thank you for tuning in to our barroom chats on Music and Booze with Mo. For more info about today's guest, or if you want to connect with me, check out my Facebook page, Mo Herms. Please subscribe to the podcast and feel free to tell all your friends about it. While you're there, give the show a rating and a review. It really helps to get the word out. If you want to hear the playlists our guests have curated, search She Be Mo on Spotify, SHEBMO. Find pictures of the interviewees and the cool stuff they create on the Music and Booze with Mo Instagram account. Lower your expectations and join us at the bar. Till next time, cheers.